Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, yes. Njeri's oil story has taken a very interesting twist today. It's now emerging that the 17 billion that was used to purchase that oil was not Njeri's money, but taxpayers' money, withdrawn from the consolidated fund without Parliament's approval and without the approval of the controller of budget. So the 17 billion was taxpayers' money. I want us to dig deep into this story for Kenyans to understand in clear terms what's happening here. Before we do that, let me remind those who don't know. A few days ago, Njeri's supposed mother was interviewed where she made it very clear that she never knew her daughter had such kind of money and that she had not seen her daughter for the last 5 years. And even from that video there, you are seeing she is in a wooden house while her daughter is a billionaire. Yes, there are so many loose ends in this story, and in this video I'm going to try to put things into perspective for Kenyans to know exactly what's going on here. Before we do that, let's listen to this news as reported by KTN News.
Billion shillings diesel consignment did not come from the pockets of businesswoman Njeri. It has further emerged that the oil does not even belong to Galana Energy's oil company, as claimed by Cabinet Secretaries Davis Chirchir and Kipchumba Murkomen. An investigation trailing the billions of shillings suspects that the money that have been unlawfully withdrawn from public coffers given to Njeri to order the consignment, sell the oil and return clean 17 billion shillings to those who gave her the money. The investigation describes Njeri as a front of the heist through which billions of shillings were cleaned and laundered. KTN's David Muthoka reports on how billions of public money may have been taken from the public coffers to conduct a billion shillings dirty deal that has Njeri at the eye of the storm.
In September last year, when the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum withdrew from the consolidated fund 16 billion shillings purportedly for subsidies to private financial enterprises. 4 months later, in January this year, the same ministry withdrew from the consolidated fund some 9 billion shillings also for subsidies to private financial enterprises. Then, in June this year, at the closure of the previous financial year, the Petroleum Ministry withdrew from the same consolidated fund 17 billion shillings that was also subsidies to private financial enterprises. It is the questionable 17 billion shillings that an investigation by Busia Senator Okiya Omtata suspects did not go to subsidies, but rather into the pockets of one Njeri. What for? Omtata suspects to order a 17 billion shilling consignment of diesel from overseas and clean the money by selling the oil locally and returning the billions of shillings to those who gave her. Only that this time the money will not go back to the public coffers but to their pockets. In his investigation, Omtata names 2 cabinet secretaries who have refuted that the oil belonged to Njeri and maintained that it belongs to Galana Energy's oil company as persons of interest. According to the Busia senator, there is a direct correlation between the 17 billion shillings, which was unconstitutionally withdrawn from the consolidated fund in June 2023 to subsidize unnamed private financial enterprises, and the contested 17 billion shillings between Njeri and the two cabinet secretaries. He says that he reasonably suspects that Njeri, who from all indications could not and cannot raise the 17 billion shillings which was used to purchase the fuel, is the private financial enterprises that received the 17 billion shillings from the Ministry of Petroleum in June this year. Omtata further alleges that the contested shipment of fuel is the product through which the money is being cleaned or laundered. He continues by challenging the two cabinet secretaries to stop fooling the nation and come clean on their relationship with Njeri, whom he reasonably believes is their front in the heist, but whom they have fallen out with. In his report, the senator adds that the relationship between the 17 billion shilling consignment of diesel and the 17 billion shillings paid in subsidies cannot be denied unless the two cabinet secretaries make a once and all full disclosure of the identity of the private financial enterprises which benefited from the money. The two cabinet secretaries.
Yes. So what is a consolidated fund? There is established the consolidated fund into which shall be paid all money raised or received by or on behalf of the national government. So in a layman's language, a consolidated fund is where all money received by the government or any other government entity is stored. That account is called the consolidated fund. And you cannot withdraw that money unless approved by the controller of budget or through an appropriation bill by parliament. This 17 billion was withdrawn without any approval of the two. Yes, serious corruption going on here, ladies and gentlemen. From that story, it's coming out very, very clearly to me that 17 billion Kenya shillings has already been lost. That is money that has now disappeared into men and women's pockets. Rogue elements in Kenya Kwanza government. And just as I've been saying, we all know where the strings are being pulled from. So if you elect a thief, be prepared to be robbed. Before Kenyans voted in last year's presidential election, track records of these individuals, their track records were out. Right from how they started their politics, the corruption allegations that were being leveled against them, all those track records were out in public. But some Kenyans still chose to vote for them. If you elect a thief, be prepared to be robbed. And that should also be a warning now to Kenyans that a leader's past track record means a lot. Before you elect a leader, look at that leader's track record. If he is a thief, he will steal from you. If he is a performer, he will most definitely deliver. This is just the usual corruption in Kenya Kwanza government. And Njeri, from what is now coming out clearly, was just being used by the cartels in the government, and that consignment, that oil consignment, was for these cartels. That oil was to benefit themselves, not Kenyans. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. But even before I stop, yeah, it's coming out clearly where the strings are being pulled from. It's also coming out very clearly that the 17 billion withdrawn from the consolidated fund, that one has disappeared. It has gone to men and women's pockets. The lady, the Njeri, rather Njeri, was just being used. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet in our next analysis.